My name is Michelle Barclay, and my background is in gerontology. And I've been lucky enough to work with people with Alzheimer's disease and other related dementias in their families for the last 30 years. And I've learned so much from that experience, and it's been completely gratifying. And I'm so happy to be here in a place that's really special to me and to Terry, and to be with all of you, and to work together to figure out how we can continue to up our game with helping Hawaii be the very best place to live if you have Alzheimer's disease. How about that, right? If you have to have it, this is the place to be, right? Okay, so we are gonna do some practicing, we're gonna do some learning together, and we're gonna have a good time. Who's down for that? All right, can I get a whoop whoop? Love it, all right. Even better. Okay, not sure what's going on here. Good. So we're gonna start by watching another Mini-Cog demonstration. Remember, we saw Sam before who did the Mini-Cog, and now we're gonna see Colleen. It's going to be a very, very sexy provider. You can imagine who I'm talking about. And Colleen, who's a wonderful, wonderful person, just a lovely person. And she presented to the doctor for some dizziness. She had some heart trouble, and she was screened with the Mini-Cog. And let's see how she does.
Hi, Colleen. It's nice to see you.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
It's been about 6 months, I think, since your last clinic visit.
Yes.
I understand from the nurse that you're here because of some dizziness that you've had recently.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, sounds pretty bothersome.
It is.
Well, before we look into that a little bit more, we're doing something new in the clinic, which is that just like the nurse was checking your vital signs, your pulse, your blood pressure, we're now also checking the health of the brain on a routine basis. Okay. And so I'm going to ask you some questions next that require a little bit of concentration. Sound okay?
Okay.
Okay. The first thing is I want you to listen carefully, because I'm going to give you 3 words that I want you to repeat back to me and try to remember for later.
Okay.
You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The words are banana, sunrise, chair. Can you say those back to me?
Banana, sunrise. I don't remember the last word.
Okay. The 3 words are banana, sunrise, and chair. Can you see those
Banana,
back?
sunrise, and chair.
Great. Now, I'm going to give you this piece of paper with a circle on it. And what I want you to do is make a clock for me by putting in all the numbers where they go. Now, Colleen, can you set the time so it says 10 past 11? Okay, I'll take that back from you. Now, what were those 3 words that I had you repeat earlier?
Sunrise, banana, shampoo.
Okay, great, thank you. Colleen, have you had any concerns about your memory recently?
Yes.
What kind of concerns?
That I'm forgetting a lot.
Okay, what kinds of things have you been forgetting?
Things that I'm supposed to do during the day that I normally do.
Mm-hmm.
Or like when I go into a room to get something, I don't remember why I'm in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I start cleaning and doing other things, and then I remember what I went in for, and sometimes I don't.
Mm-hmm. That's really frustrating.
Very.
Well, maybe once we're done with today's visit, it might be a good idea to have you come back so that we can look into that a little bit more. Would that be okay?
Yes, that would be fine.
Okay, sounds good.
This is Colleen's clock. So Terry talked earlier about scoring the clock. So we're going to work on some scoring here. So the first thing I like to look for is the anchor numbers. Are the anchor numbers present and in their correct location? Yes? Yes. Okay. What about the other numbers? Present and in the correct order? No. What's wrong? The 4 and the 5 are transposed. And be careful with this too, because I before have looked at people's clocks and my mind corrected this mistake for me and didn't notice it. So you really have to pay attention. So that's a 0, right? Her clock is a 0 point. But let's say she got that right. What's the next thing you would look for? The hands. How about that? It's wrong. Why is it wrong? What time is it? It's 10 past 10, right? Not 10 past 11, which is the instructions. So how many points does Colleen get for this? 0, that's right. It's a 0-point clock. Colleen was able to remember 2 words of the list. Sunrise, banana, and chair was the list that was used. She remembered sunrise and banana, but she said shampoo instead of chair, which is nice. I like shampoo, smells good, but it's not one of the words. So for word recall, she got 2 out of 3. She got a 0 on the clock. So her final score is 2 out of 5. What is that, a passing or a not passing score? That's a yes, yes. So what do we do then? What do we do if someone doesn't pass? Refer them. So work with Colleen, maybe ask her about how she thinks her memory's doing, and then talk with her about seeing a provider to see what's up with that, right? What's up with that? That's what we're doing, okay? What's going on? All right. So in your packet, you have 2 copies of the Mini-Cog. This is because I have a weird personality quirk. And here it is, true confessions time after lunch. All the truth comes out. I do not like to write on something that I want to keep. So you have 2. One you can write on and get all messy with, and one you can keep clean for yourself, okay? What you're going to do is you are going to find a buddy. If you're not sitting with someone or you don't have a buddy, you're going to raise your hand and then we're going to buddy you up. And you're going to practice. First, one of you will be the deliverer and the other will be the client, and then you will switch. Okay? So everyone will get a chance to be the client and everyone will get a chance to be the administrator. Well, how'd that feel? What did it feel like to be the one who was giving the test, administering the Mini-Cog?
I just had a comment.
Yeah.
As short as this tool is, I forgot the 3 words quickly after moving on to the clock.
So that gives you empathy for people who are doing this task, doesn't it? Yeah. Yeah. It's clearly another thing to think about too. This is a really loud and distracting environment. Where you're also in the process of trying to learn how to do this and take it like you're a novice as well. So, you know, if you didn't pass the Mini-Cog, if you were the client, then you could have a conversation about, you know, what's going on in your life. How are you sleeping? What's going on? You know, how's your memory been? What do you think? And open up the door for conversation. So, but if you're doing this in real life, obviously you're not going to be doing it in a crowded auditorium with 100 other people speaking while you're trying to do this. So, yeah. Anybody else? What was it like to be the person who gave it? Yes, up here in front.
It's not as comfortable, even though this is so short. It wasn't as comfortable giving the test, even though this is a really short test. And I had to remember what you were saying, not to use the word memory.
So don't use the word test or memory. Yeah, yeah. It requires some practice, doesn't it, to get comfortable enough to where you don't feel anxious about it, to where you feel like it's just kind of routine. you know, where you're kind of easy breezy beautiful about it. Yeah, but a good rule of thumb, we're going to do something next that doesn't take a lot of time but requires a little bit of attention. Yep. There's a lot of...
I have a question. You know, when we recall the word, do you put a time frame that up to how many minutes to recall, or just go with the flow?
Well, you're not going to give people 10 minutes to recall the words. I would say people usually recall them in the first 15 to 30 seconds after you ask. And if they continue on for more than a minute or two, just move on. Yeah. Yes, there's a question up here.
Well, I mean, I don't know if this is what maybe she meant, but kind of like when you're giving the test and then you give the words the first time.
Yes.
Then how many minutes later should we, I mean, as soon as the clock drawing is done, go
Yes.
ahead and say, okay, I think
Yes.
you recall the 3 words.
Yes.
So within 2 to 3 minutes?
Right, because you're not giving more than 3 minutes for the clock.
Okay, so about
Yes. So, and it could be quicker, but it's somewhere between 1 and 3, or 30 seconds and 3 minutes that takes someone to draw a clock.
okay.
Yeah. Yes, good question. That she's asking how long between the time someone says the words back for the registration piece of the Mini-Cog and the time they actually, you ask them again to repeat them, and the longest would be about 3 minutes because that's how long you're giving them for the clock.
I'm just wondering, what if they wanted to repeat the test?
Nope. Next year. We'll do this every year. Yes.
Can you repeat instructions?
For which part?
All.
So when someone is remembering, you're getting them to remember the 3 words, leader, season, table. If they do not repeat all 3 words back, you can repeat them 2 more times until they get them out, or if they don't, then you move on, okay? So a total of 3 times you can say.
Right. Oh, no, I understand that part. It's I want you to remember these 3 words. If they miss that part, but they hear the 3 words, like, what am I supposed to do with the 3? Can you repeat the instructions again? I'm going to repeat, or I'm going to say 3 words.
No.
Answer's no. Okay, no.
Yeah. So this is also a good thing about getting people's attention initially, and instead of saying, now I'm going to test your memory, which, how do you feel if I say that? Now I'm going to test your memory. What happens? Pooh! Anxiety goes through the roof, right? But if you say, we're going to do something next that doesn't take a long time, but requires a little bit of attention, you're getting them to focus, you're moving them toward paying attention to a task. That's what you want. And then you can start with the instructions on the page. So you're not in a room with 300 people, you're getting them to focus and then beginning the task. Yep. But you can't give them the 3 words and then say, now remember those. That's your raft is off in Maui. Your raft is in Maui if you start doing that, because that's part of it. They get to be told that you're going to have to remember this once before you give them the words. If you say you're going to have to remember this again, it narrows the time frame and it biases the test. Okay? Remember, these things are buffered for people to make errors. And also, if someone does not pass, what happens? Do you tell them they have Alzheimer's disease? No. Do they have Alzheimer's disease? You don't know if they have Alzheimer's disease or if they took too much Valium last night. You have no idea what's going on. Maybe they had a rip-roaring rum party at their house. I mean, you don't know, but something's going on that's interrupting their ability to function at their highest cognitive level. And your job is to note that and then to help move forward to uncover what is creating that cognitive impairment so that you can resolve it, whatever it is, right? And if it turns out to be Alzheimer's disease, there's still a lot that you can do to help them live a better life, right? if someone has Alzheimer's disease, are they still going to have it if you don't tell them? Does telling them make it true? If you don't tell them, do they still have it? Yes. If a tree falls in the woods, it still makes the sound whether you're there or not, right? They're still going to have it. So you can either call it out and address it and try to help them live good lives, or you can just not address the elephant in the room and watch as they go from one chaotic, horrible crisis situation to another. That's basically what happens to people, okay? How was it to take the test? Pretty fun? Anybody? Anybody nervous? Did your partner say anything that made you feel more calm or made it more pleasurable? Anybody want to brag on their partner? There's somebody up here who wants to brag on her partner.
The way it's worded, it can be tricky. You have to think a little bit. You have to think a little bit about the clock, because you automatically want to draw the hand next to the 10.
Yeah, so 10 past 11, like Terry was saying, that's on purpose. It's purposefully obtuse and difficult because it requires people to do some mental gymnastics, right? Because if it was easy, everybody would get it right, and it wouldn't be a very sensitive measure of cognition, right? So you want it to be a little challenging for people. Yeah. Yep, sure, you're right. It is challenging on purpose. Mm-hmm. Okay. Anything surprise you? Yes, up here?
Oh, I underestimated.
Yeah, it looks very easy, but it is challenging. And I want to say something to address a little bit about selecting people to give it to. Okay. Anybody go to the doctor? Where do you do? What happens before you get into the room? You know, the nurse calls your name, and then you're moving toward the room. What happens? The scale. How many people enjoy that part of the doctor visit? Show of hands. It's my least favorite part of the doctor visit. At my doctor's office, they don't even say anything. You just kind of end up there, right? And then they kind of point at it. They don't even have to say anything. And all you get is, can I take my shoes off? That's basically all you're given. Now, do they do that with everybody? Does everybody get led to the scale? Yes. What if you knew that everybody didn't get led to the scale, and only really, really big people or people that they thought had anorexia got led to the scale? Okay? How would you feel the next time you were led to the scale? Okay? So the same thing is true with this. It's a bias that you introduce if you only pick people that you think have a problem. If you do it with everybody, a couple of things will happen. Number one, you won't be so nervous that somebody might have a hard time with it. It's fine, right? Number two, I think you'll find that some people that you think are okay aren't, and some people that you think aren't okay are. You may also find that when you give the Mini-Cog and someone does well, that they may still have concerns about their memory if you ask them about it. So just keep that in mind. Giving it to everybody also helps to destigmatize this process. You are checking brain health. The health of the brain is really important, and we're going to check on it. We're doing a checkup from the neck up with everybody. It's not like, boy, you're really gorked, so you're getting this today, right? It's not like that. It's everybody gets it over 65. We're trying something new. Health of the brain's really important. This is what we're doing now. Right? So it's not singling people out because you think something's wrong with them. And that'll help you. I promise it'll help you. And it's certainly, people get that message non-verbally pretty clearly, like you would if you noticed that some people got the scale and some people didn't. Okay? Just something to think about. All right, so now we're going to do some practice scoring clocks. This will be a real quick group activity, so you can just yell out, get crazy, okay? Now, for me, the easiest thing to remember is anchors, other numbers, time, or the hands, if you will, okay? That helps me. Anchors, others, time. That's how I score clocks. That's, in my mind, this really helps me, okay? So I'll offer that to you as something to think about. I'm going to show you a clock, and I want you to start anchor, other, time, okay? What's the first thing we're looking for? And? No. Let's start with the anchors. How are they? Okay, 12 and 6, 3 and 9. Yeah, that's good. What's next? And? They're good. This is a little wonky, but I promise you it's a 5. If I promise you that, will you go with good on that? Okay, what about the time or the hands, whatever you prefer? That's good. Does it matter that the numbers are outside the circle? Do we care about that? Do we care about that? What's the score? What's the score? 2-point clock. This is a pass. Very good. Thank you for playing. All right, number 2, what do we look for first? And? Oh! What do you think? Well, the 12 and the 6 is a little to my right, but there's nothing else in its place, so we're good here, right? And then, uh-oh, SpaghettiOs, we got a problem here, right? The 3 should be where the 4 is. So the rule is for the anchor numbers that it's okay if the number's in the wrong place, but there's no other number there, okay? So here, the 12 and the 6 would pass, because, oops, I pressed the button. The 12 and the 6 would pass because the 6 is a little off, but there's no other number where it should be. Does everybody see that? Now, the 3 and the 9, we got problems, and we got trouble in River City over here, okay, for those of you who like musicals. The 4 is where the 3 should be. So is this a pass or a fail? Fail. So let's pretend for a moment that it's a pass. What else would you look for? What's next? Other numbers? Are they all there? Okay. And what about the time? That's good too. But how many points is this? 0-point clock because of the anchor number. Okay? How about this? What do we look for first? And? 12 and the 6, how are we feeling about that? Good. How are we feeling about the 3? Good. How are we feeling about this situation right here? There's another number where the 9 should be. So how are we doing on this clock? How many points is this? 0. That's right. What about this one? Where do we start? Anchors? How are we doing with the anchors? Not so good, right? We're also having some trouble with the numbers. There's a duplicate, and we're having some trouble with the hands. Okay, so how many points is this? 0. All right, what about this one? What do we start with? Anchors and? Right, so 12 and 6, 3, it's pretty close. Now Terry, I think, would say, when in doubt, what do you do? Right, so if the 10 was a little bit lower, like right here, we'd be in trouble. But because when we go across, this is blank, we're good, right? So anchor number's okay. What's next? Other numbers, how are we doing on that? Okay, what about the hands? Yeah, this isn't how we do it. Okay, so, but this is not uncommon to have some kind of X or mark between the 10 and the 11, very concrete. Okay, so this is, you might see this is not uncommon. So how many points? Okay. What about this? Yeah, this is wrong on a lot of levels. What is this telling you about this person's visuospatial skills? It's worrisome. Would you be worried about them driving? Yeah, I would. I mean, this is not diagnostic for driving, but just in my mind, I'd be thinking, this person's really having some trouble with spatial relationships, okay? What about this? What do we look for first? Anchors. Well, let's address the elephant in the room. What the heck is this right here? What's this? What's going on here? What? A design. It is lovely. But it's a correction. What do we do with that? What do the rules say? Did you hear a rule about that? No. Corrections are good. You know, if somebody self-corrects, that's awesome. So you just pretend like they had liquid paper. And instead of making a scratch out, they just liquid papered it out. So you pretend like it's not there. Okay? If they self-correct, it's a good thing. We allow ourselves to make mistakes and get before we have the final answer. Okay? That's good. So knowing that now, where do we start? Anchors. And I heard good. 12 and 6. Everybody can agree that's good, I think. Right? Now this, here's the 3 and the 9. I think we can all agree they're a little high. But there's no other, if this is liquid papered out, there's no other number where the anchors should be, right? So how are we feeling now? Are we feeling good? Okay. Yes, we're good. Anchors are good. There's no other number where the anchor should be. How are we feeling about the next thing? What's the next thing? Other numbers. How are we feeling about that? Are we feeling good about that? We're getting real quiet in our feelings. Okay. How are we feeling? What's the next thing? Time. How are we feeling about that? We're feeling good. How many points is this? 2-point clock. Very good. How are you feeling about your raft getting closer and farther away from the mothership? Feeling better about scoring? You're not going to be in that 30% that's off in Maui. You're going to be right there, right? Okay, so good job doing the Mini-Cog. Clearly, practice helps and getting really comfortable. Easy, breezy, beautiful, super helpful. And, you know, doing it with everybody helps, and practicing, the next thing is practicing what you talk to people about after the Mini-Cog really helps, so that you feel comfortable with your response, okay? So we're gonna first, before we get in groups of 2, so you can keep your same partner or you can ditch that partner and get a new partner, I don't care. But don't offend them though. No, you keep the same partner. I want you to take a few minutes and write down what you would say if someone does not do well, if they do not pass, okay? So if someone passes, it's pretty easy. It's when they don't pass that you don't want to fill the space with a bunch of words. You want to be really concise. Now, Terry gave some examples earlier around the whole assessment that you do, because I would imagine this is a small part of a bigger assessment for most people. But what we did today gave me some ideas about how you're doing and how to help you stay healthy. One area of concern was around memory and brain health. There's a lot of things that can cause trouble with this. List a few. One thing we should work on together is making an appointment with your doctor so we can figure out what's going on. Something like that. I mean, you're going to say it in your own words. You can also open up a conversation about, how do you think you're doing? Or how's your memory been? Have you had any trouble with your memory? Have you talked to your doctor about it? These kinds of questions as well. So just take a moment to yourself, privately, and there's some space at the end of your slide deck, that packet, that's just blank. And you can write bullets, or you can write out a sentence, what you're going to say if somebody doesn't do well. Think about Sam. Remember Sam? He got a 1 out of 5. How are you going to talk to him about that? And just take a moment to write something down. So if you're ready, if you've written down what you want to say and you want to approach your partner looks ready, the next step is practice delivering that on each other, okay? That's step 2. So give your partner space to finish their work, but once they're finished, go ahead and have the conversation. Remember, brevity is your best friend. 1 to 2 minutes, easy breezy. So if you haven't started practicing, start practicing now. You have a few minutes. You haven't already switched to let the other person try their script. Time to do that. How did that feel? How does it feel to deliver your script? Pretty smooth? How did it feel? Anybody? I mean, typically people's experience is that it's not smooth the first time they do it. And that it's a little bit awkward and hesitating, and that if you had to do it again, you might pick different words or you might do things differently. I think that's good. It's also good to have a partner. You can always talk at the break too with your partner about what they said that you liked. I mean, did anybody's partner say something that resonated with you or that made you feel comfortable? Nobody, everybody's so quiet. This is such a timid group, which I do not believe at all, by the way. Was this challenging? Or did you feel like, got this, move on, what are you doing? Yeah. Yeah, and safe.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, that's really important. Do any of you do depression screening? Yeah, how do you talk about that when people don't pass the depression screen? Do you say, oh boy, are you depressed? Oh my God, you're going straight to the mental health unit. Is that how you say it? Yeah. And how do you introduce that? I tell you what, in my clinic, the person who put me in the room gave me this form to fill out and said, you look fine, but we have to do this with everybody. Okay? And my dad just died. Okay? I was depressed. And how safe did I feel to talk about that? You know? She basically is saying, I don't want to hear about it, right? You know? You look okay, but we have to give this to everybody. Okay? There are a lot of people that you're going to work with that have concerns about their memory. And this is such a stigmatizing thing that they are not always going to feel comfortable talking about it. In my clinic as well, I'm not going to tell you where I go to get my health care because now I'm talking smack about them so much. Initially, a couple of years ago, they started doing questions about abuse, like feeling safe at home. And this was introduced like this. I'm sure you're fine. We have to ask everybody this. And then when I said something about it that indicated that might be an issue, obviously not currently, but that something may have happened to me in the past, that person looked so terrified that there was no way I was going to ever talk to anybody again about it. Okay? So if you want people to feel safe and comfortable, you have to create a safe and comfortable space for them to talk about things that are difficult, like depression, like sexual abuse or domestic abuse, or other topics that people aren't going to talk about with their family or their friends or at a cocktail party. And this is one of those things, right? They may want help. They may want to talk about it, but they're not going to do it if you introduce something as, I have to give this to everybody, you're probably fine. Or I'm going to test you, or after they take it and they don't do well, saying, oh God, you probably have Alzheimer's. I mean, think about it. This may be the one time they have a safe place to just say, I am really concerned about my memory. That does really worry me. And you can join with them and say, that's really tough. Let's see if we can do something about it together, right? So think about that. You have an opportunity to really, really destigmatize this and help people. Okay. There are online videos and webinars that you can go back to. Colleen, you can watch her. You can watch Sam again. There are webinars that go through scoring the Mini-Cog again, as well as other things that can be helpful to you. So I offer that.